I'm standing at the summit of Donner Pass with Donner Lake behind me. In 1846, nearly 90 emigrants became trapped here in the snow. The saga begins like any classic story from the Oregon Trail, with settlers heading west in search of fertile soil and the promise of a better life. Standing between them and their dreams of California is one last rocky hurdle: the Sierra Nevada. Stunning yet brutal, this rugged wall of granite is known for steep and dangerous terrain where in excess of 50 feet of snow might fall in a single winter. Now, plenty of people made it up and over the Sierra Nevada during this time of westward expansion. So, my question is, what was different with the Donner Party? Why did they get stranded? In learning about the Donner Party, I'd always heard they'd take this Hastings cutoff, this shortcut.
Yes, up to the point where they crossed the Rocky Mountains, they were doing fine.
Yeah.
But they had taken that shortcut. That's when every obstacle they could imagine appeared in front of them.
So, this is the most fateful decision that the Donner Party would make. When the larger wagon train that they'd been traveling with reached the trading post of famed mountain man Jim Bridger, George Donner and a collection of settlers totaling 87 men, women, and children decided to split from the larger group and gamble on a new and little-known shortcut, Hastings Cutoff, which was promoted by a man named Lansford Hastings. This supposed shortcut would reroute them south of the Great Salt Lake. While seemingly more direct, the untested route proved to be nearly impassable and, get this, actually 125 miles longer than the normal route. This miscalculation caused the party a month of delays before reaching the eastern foot of Donner Pass. They weren't crazy to think that they were going to make it over the pass in November. Like, that had been done.
Yeah, November and even December in the previous years.
Okay.
But the snow hit in October and was a vicious storm.
You've obviously got the huge problem of securing food. And whenever you talk about food and the Donner Party, the subject of cannibalism, that terrifying and final act of desperation, is quick to come up.
At some point, they decided, you know what, we're not getting out of here. And if we're gonna survive, we're gonna have to slaughter our oxen, our cattle, and our horse. And so they began to butcher the animals, they bring in, they eat the meat. And then at some point, there are no more animals, and all there are is it's a bone pile.
Yep.
And so they go up to that cast-off bone pile, chop it up, and begin to put it in the pot and boil it for the marrow.
Yep.
And those have calories and some sort of trace nutrients and minerals. So that's the next thing you do after all the meat's gone.
We have a femur, okay, from a cow,
Yes.
and we can cook them.
Oh.
We did a perfect job. It's just like the perfect little slug. I'm gonna let it cool for a minute.
Yeah. So that's about 100 calories, just a little bit.
This is dripping, right?
Oh, it's full of fat.
It's just fat.
And it doesn't taste bad.
No, it's like fat that you don't need to bother chewing up.
So I'd be putting this back into a pot, boiling it over and over again, and this would become all smooth, I bet.
Do you need more seconds?
No. Thank you for the experience, though.
While pondering starvation in these mountains, I can't help but wonder, why did they not just hunt for food?
Reading about the Donner Party, I used to judge them because I'd be like, I mean, they had firearms.
Yeah.
I was like, why not just go hunt?
Yeah.
But you don't realize the extent to which in these hills, game just vacates.
Oh, yeah.
Like big seasonal movements.
They ain't here no mo.
They're
That's
gone.
for sure. There's small game.
Yeah. But deer, elk is just gone.
Oh yeah, downhill.
And you're just down to whatever
Down to
little resident.
squirrels and rabbits, the animals that don't migrate.
Yeah.
Hunting the snowbound mountains was not productive enough to feed the Donner Party, especially when you consider the massive calorie expenditure of just getting around in the deep snow. And by this point, many weeks into their ordeal, they'd already exhausted the immediately available food resources. There was little to no hope of getting replenished. And as day turns to night with temperatures falling, I'm heading back to my lean-to, acutely aware of the desperate circumstances the Donners were in. Though they were starving and had gotten themselves trapped in impassable snow, they were actually doing many things right from a survivalist perspective. So remember, the roofs of some of their shelters were constructed from horse and oxen hides. Edible, yes, but something you'd only consider once you reached a critical point in the starvation cycle.
So this is a piece of deer rawhide. It's leather. It's untanned leather, right? You wouldn't want to just chew this up like this. I mean, you chew on it all day and not get anywhere. So one of the ways that they would prepare this stuff is just boil it in water. I've messed around with eating all kind of stuff over the years, just more out of experimentation than necessity. But I've never tried eating rawhide. So I'm gonna boil one of these suckers and see what that experience would be like. So here we go, leather suit. Okay, ready? Here's where it all comes together. We're gonna pull it out and eat it. That's not as offensive as I would have thought. It's really, it really is like, it just tastes like a naan thing. Besides the taste, it doesn't taste like a rubber band. It's kind of like if you, I don't know, if you picture a rubber band that you could somehow chew up. Like you could win the fight against the rubber band with your teeth. You can win the fight. It's not that bad, man. I always thought it seemed bad, but now I can understand people getting hungry and eating their bootlaces. And then the broth, a lot of energy comes out of that, right? It's like bone broth. So here's my take. I came into the story of the Donner Party knowing that it was some horrific tale that ended in cannibalism. And as we've learned, there is a temptation to look at this tragic tale and ask, what did they do wrong? How could they have screwed up so bad? Like, what kind of idiocy would have led them to be so desperate? But I've come to think that those questions are fundamentally unfair. Yes, they took some bad advice when they used Hastings Cutoff. We've all caught bad luck and we've all caught bad weather. So really, the mistakes and bad luck of the Donner Party should be recognizable to all of us. It should seem familiar. But ask yourself this, what about all that heroism and bravery? Like, does that seem familiar? It doesn't to me. Putting up for months with starvation and exposure and enduring that and living through that, that is something that is extraordinary. So in all fairness, I think we need to place the Donner Party's cannibalism within the context of that extreme endurance. They did everything they had to do in order for the majority of them, children included, to live. We should look at that act as a final sacrifice, as the final testament to their heroics. And you really got to ask yourself, if you were in that situation and your back was against the wall, would you hang on to life that tenaciously? And could you be that brave? I hope you never need to find out.